Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping. Rain is clearing up. Rain should be gone for now. Nothing but sunshine all day.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
No back into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and
my
to the
goodness.
line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping. Rain is clearing up. Rain should be gone for now. Nothing but sunshine all day.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and
my
to the
goodness.
line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Gasket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second spot, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and
my
to the
goodness.
line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Tonight, the hills of Sao Paulo come alive as Breaking Bad GT3 takes on one of the most historic and legendary circuits in the world of motorsports, Interlagos. A track rich with history, emotion, and no shortage of drama. This Brazilian battleground demands precision through every sector and bravery under every braking zone. In GT3 machinery, the margins are razor thin, the competition is fierce, and one mistake can change everything. From the long run in towards turn 1 to the charge back onto the front straight, every lap will matter tonight. So settle in, because under the lights of anticipation and pressure, Breaking Bad GT3 is ready to put on a show at Interlagos. Thank you very much for joining us, folks. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Tonight's presentation is sponsored by Maxim Motorsports. For all your go-kart tuning, dyno, and engine repair services, look no further than Maxim Motorsports. As well as Grandpa Jeff and Yvonne Sanders. They're going to be tonight's sponsor here at Interlagos. We will be talking to someone after the broadcast about Grandpa Jeff and Yvonne Sanders. Taking a look at the championship points, Carl Ross, Kyle Smith, Jed Cotterman line the 1, 2, 3 here and now. Kyle Dersham, Keon Maduro, João Baptista, Jack Clark, Cole Malley, Jamie MacArthur, Dennis Crosby are in 10th place. They're in GT3 Pro. For GT3 Pro Am, it's Oliver Brooks with 519 points in front of Francis Perot, Kobe Brooks, Franz Ibrahim, Chet Miller, Rafael Rodriguez, Nicholas Lawrence Paul, James Clark, Owen Huffington, and Jesse Chase. As I've noted, as I've stated, gentlemen and ladies, we are going to be at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace in Sao Paulo, Brazil, with an elevation change of 134 feet, 15 corners, 5 to the right, 10 to the left, and 2.67 miles or 3.4 kilometers. It's going to be a challenge for the drivers to contest with the ever-changing elevation here at Interlagos. Isn't it going to be a challenge for them, Rob?
You know what, Sagar? I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm just taking a look at the track temps. You know what? I don't think I've ever raced here where it hasn't been like the surface of the sun for a track temp. And it looks like we have somewhere around mid 70-degree Fahrenheit track temps, what I think is downright almost winter conditions here in Brazil.
It is looking a little chilly out there as TJ Yankee has a little excursion through the infield as they conclude their qualifying run. Gonna draw us a little heart probably with that Ford Mustang, but you're absolutely right. Temperature 72 degrees Fahrenheit. The track temp a cool 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Cloudy conditions with 48% humidity. Joining with me, rather than Stephen Kernick in the booth, is actually going to be Rob himself. Rob, thank you very much for joining me. We have Track Cams 22 providing you all the wonderful track cams that you see here. And thank you very much to their support to the channel as well. On board with Matthew Irwin now as we challenge down the S's.
Yeah, Irwin getting a nice run down the straight here. It looks like he's kind of mid-pack here right now, Sagar. We got a good showing of cars. What do we have? 33, 4, 5. Looks like we got just over 35 cars in session tonight. So it's going to be a heck of a race between these two classes at Interlagos, a track that, you know what, always seems to draw out a ton of participation, whether it's an official race or a league race. You know, as you mentioned, it's a track with a ton of elevations, but it has some blind corners too as well, and it's got some optimistic corners where you can tend to see some drivers really take and try and force a move up the inside. So we'll have to keep our eye out for that this evening. We got a nice mix of cars, basically every brand and manufacturer shown here tonight across the board, and our drivers, you know, I don't think we mentioned this, but this is actually their second run at qualifying. A little bit of an issue with the first session here this evening where the race was only set for about 4 laps, so they had to refire up a new session, rerun qualifying, which they're doing right now. So obviously some drivers who might have had a quick time in the last session will be a little disappointed if they can't quite replicate that performance here tonight.
It'll be tough to see who's going to be out on top with a grid pack so tight. We have 12 drivers, make that 13 drivers locked within 1 second of the leader, Jeffrey Davis, taking that provisional pole right now, but Wade Morris definitely trying to change things up on the entire field. Let's take a look and see what Wade Morris can produce on that last lap. A 1:31.22 will be his best lap, last lap, leaving him just marginally behind the leader of Jeffrey Davis.
And it looks like our top Pro-Am driver, Wade Morris, sitting in second place. So we'll see if maybe he doesn't get bumped up into, actually, sorry, he is a pro driver. I get them mixed up here. I'm not sure why he's showing as a red, but I believe he is a pro driver. So looks like our top Pro-Am driver is Joe Twum Antwi in 11th place. So almost inside the top 10 for him. So we'll see if he can have a great race because he's well positioned ahead of the next Pro-Am driver, Brian Lavrisa, in 21st place. So well done by Joe Twum.
Absolutely. Looking really good out there for Joe Twum Antwi, and LaShawn Young Dilworth running in 12th position there overall. 11th for the category, sitting behind Joe Twum Antwi. Nicholas Owano sitting outside the top 10 in P12. Keon Maduro, a champion of his own right, running in P14 overall. Some other contenders tonight, Brian Lavrisa down in P2, P21 overall, but P2 for the category. Chet Miller in third, but T23 overall. Frank Perot in 4th place for his category, and we'll take a look at those results here and now. Joe Twum Antwi is going to take P1 for the AMs. Brian Lavrisa, Chet Miller, and then Frank Perot, Oliver Brooks, Owen Huffington, Nicholas Paul, Marshall Darden, Benny McCurdy, Mac Nelson, Jesse Chase, Ryan Thompson rounding out the 12 in the AM category. And over to the pros, Jeffrey Davis, Wade Morris, Corey Jones, João Baptista, Carl Ross, Clancy Garvin, Kyle Dersham, Kyle Smith, Javier Sierra, Jed Connerman, LaShawn Young Dilworth, Nicholas Solano, Keon Maduro, Sean Voigt, Jeff Sanders, Roberto Perez, Matthew Irwin, TJ Yankee, Kenneth Coping, and Jamie MacArthur.
So it looks like we're almost all grid up here. Sagar waiting for a couple drivers. Wade Morris, Corey Jones, Carl Ross, Javi Sierra, Rafael Rodriguez to hit the grid before we get ready for this 60 minutes of racing here at Interlagos. And I mentioned the track temp earlier. It usually plays a role in strategy here as far as pit stops, whether you take tires or not. With those cooler temps, it'd be interesting to see if any of the drivers do take tires. Usually it's a good move to at least take fronts here in GT3 at Interlagos, just because you burn them off so quickly. A lot of these high-speed corners where you're really throwing the front end in there really burns the tires off, overheats them up quickly. So we'll see if maybe some drivers go for that strategy. With a big field like this, you're definitely going to be grouped up with somebody on track with similar pace, so undercut or overcut strategy could be at play here as we're quickly scrolling through the grid, waiting for the green flag to drop.
And we're just moments away, folks. The anticipation is building, but as we get through our official grid, want to give a big shout out and thanks to everybody watching live now or in the future. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Racers Nexus Broadcast Network. And the drivers get gridded up 2 by 2 behind the official safety car. And we'll get the tires warmed up as we pass through the infield and get rearing and ready to go. Rob, any predictions on the evening tonight? I know you're not a regular here with the Breaking Bad folks, but I know you keep your eye on us from time to time. Who do you think's going to come out on top? And who do you think's going to be best of the rest?
Yeah, I may not be familiar with all the names in the session here tonight, but I do see a number of names that have popped up in various leagues that we cover across the channel here. So, you know what? Joe Baptista in 4th place in that Ford Mustang. You know, the Mustangs look like they're very strong here tonight with Wade Morris in the Mustang, Jeffrey Davis in the Mustang too as well. Kyle Dersham all placed neatly in the top 10. So, you know what? I'm going to put my money on Baptista here tonight. He's also got the hometown advantage being Brazilian.
You're not wrong about that. The hometown hero running in the second row of the grid with the Brazilian flag on his hood. It's green, green, green. Headed down in towards turn 1. João Baptista trying to find a way by not one, but both drivers in the battle for the lead of this event. But he might be in too deep. He falls worse for wear back down into P5 for João. But maybe that's for the best as the 54. Corey Jones is spun out coming through the S's de Senna. And that will be the 7 spun out as well further back. That's Jed Cotterman.
Yeah, it looks like Cotterman, Javi Sierra, LaShawn Young-Dilworth, Corey Jones, Ryan Thompson all getting wrapped up in that early wreck. Unfortunately for them, Sagar, some contenders that we saw towards the front. But that's what happens when you get a big field like this and you get something that happens just at the tail end of the top 10. So that, the meat heads into the grinder at that point. If you're out a little farther ahead, you usually get a little clearer. But if you're kind of that mid-pack area, that's the danger zone.
Very true. And we're seeing pretty much everybody in a danger zone right now as battles are front, down, left, and center. Everywhere you'll look, battles are brewing as the drivers come through the infield section, but getting spit out onto the outside sector 3. We're going to be side by side, and that marble number 12 livery is looking awfully snazzy out there, but Kyle Dersham isn't afraid to change paint with the number 93 that he is sporting. He's looking snazzy himself, but he's not afraid to make it get a little bit dirty out here tonight.
Yeah, that marble paint scheme of who that was Darden that was up there. That's a throwback to the old late 80s, early 90s Formula One and IndyCar paint schemes where you had every brand and manufacturer of tobacco products that were on race cars from here to there. So we always love seeing a retro theme like that. But we got a battle here as Roberto Perez making a move, getting himself up into 9th place, up 8 spots already on the race for Roberto Perez in that Porsche. So nice run by him.
very good run indeed. And it's looking good for a lot of these drivers, isn't it, Rob? Because with a pack like this, holy Toledo, the 7 came from a long way back. I think he made up 3 positions. That's Chet Miller, who's down 5 on the good, trying to recover right now, but loses 1. I think that's the 44 it is of Nidikume, who's already up 10 positions tonight. Oh, talk about holy Toledo.
Yeah, nice run by them, but I think that was TJ Yankee and the Mustang we saw off just at a camber shot as it went through. So rough start to the race for he and the Sean Young Dilworth, who are buddies that we know of. But you know what? I think we need to give a little shout out here to a guy you might see in the booth here from time to time, Mac Nelson, up into 16th place, up 17 spots early on, Sauger, in that Mercedes. So Mac Nelson taking advantage of a lot of others' misfortunes here tonight, and you know what? Looking strong early on.
Yeah, Mac Nelson doing a good job. Looking at the biggest gainers right now, Mac Nelson's definitely gonna be one of them. Currently running in 16th, started in 33rd, the I Overlay badge driver, but we won't hold that against him, will we, Rob? Jack Clark, Brian Lavrisa going toe-to-toe and blow for blow, but looks like Lavrisa falls back and he loses a position to Mac Nelson. So this battle that we're watching on screen right now is going to be the battle for P2 and P3 in the category. So we're definitely going to want to keep our eye on this duo, and it's going to invert positions as the Vodafone Lamborghini tries to get a switchback engaged coming out of Yungkao. It will be the Lamborghini's crossover indeed. Great call, Rob. From a long way back, you saw that one coming from a mile away. What a setup and delivery.
Yeah, looks like Kyle Dersham going to try and make it 3 wide here down the front straight. That big old Mustang trying to use its horsepower. Looks like you're going to talk to the inside line here of Lavrisa. That's where you want to be. Of course, those other 2 way out wide into off camber corner here in through turn 1. There you go, Kyle Dersham getting a 2-for-1 into turn 1.
A great little 3 wide squabble coming down in towards 1. Couldn't ask for a better entrance coming into the S's de Senna. Mac Nelson, Brian Lavrisa still glued to each other, and they're bound for P2 and P3. I think they're okay letting Dersham go as long as these 2 stay glued to each other. All this battling, though, has brought along the likes of Marshall Darden and that number 12 Marble livery that we saw earlier, and he's got a little chase to Brian Lavrisa out in front.
Right on the back bumper. But yeah, as you mentioned, as these cars squabble, that's allowing the cars up ahead of them to get away. And speaking of getting away, our top 2 up front, actually, sorry, top 3 are quickly pulling away from the rest of the pack here. Saga with Clancy Garvin and Joe Baptista opening up a nice 1.6 second gap over Kyle Smith. So we'll see maybe if the rest of the field can kind of get sorted out here, get a little more single file. And another thing I'm actually noticing is Interlagos here used to be a track that was strong for the turbo cars due to the elevation, where you get the engine up into the higher elevation, thinner air. That turbo gives it a little extra boost, which usually played an advantage for the BMWs. We don't have any BMWs in the field here tonight, but the McLaren is a turbo car. The Aston is a turbo car, even though it's running a Mercedes power plant. They take and put a twin turbo on their version of it there. So I'm not surprised to see the Aston doing well here tonight. We got a couple McLarens up in the top 15, but it's really kind of surprising to see the normally aspirated power of the Mercedes, the Ford, and Lamborghini in the top 3.
Right now,
wide and behind.
Speaking of 3 is trouble.
razzle dazzle from Matt Nelson there on the Mercedes, flashing his headlights up ahead. Not overly impressed with some of the arms or elbows out racing he's in the middle of there right now. But look at this package is growing, Sauger.
Absolutely. I mean, the battles that keep on brewing just over and over just keep on getting thicker like a good roux. These drivers keep on producing great racing action just week after week. And I think this week they might have definitely met their match with Interlagos, because this is producing some of the best racing action that I think the Breaking Bad boys have put on. Mac Nelson, Marshall Darden here and now. Jed Cotterman sandwiches himself between Brian Lavrisa and Mac Nelson. And now the eye overlay machine tries to go through on Cotterman for that protection. I don't think Cotterman's going to be too pleased with that. I'm sure he's going to say, was that really necessary, man?
Yeah. It's generally a rule in every league. You don't want to get tangled up with the boss of the league. It definitely spells a nice penalty for you. But as we see Jed Cotterman on the inlay, looking calm, cool, and collected right now, trying to put some pressure on Mac Nelson, but feeling a ton of pressure from Darden in behind, although he's opened up a little bit of a gap on Darden. But we got a battle shaping up for, looks like it's 5th, 6th, and 7th. Kyle Smith, Carl Ross, and Maduro up ahead. These three are keeping an eye on the middle of the corner. My eye here, Maduro tried to drive it deep into the last couple corners. Almost caught Carl Ross in the back end, but they're working together here. But unfortunately, as they battle, they're falling back from Baptista. So we got battles up and down through the field. And if anybody at home is watching on the timing tower, any of the orange numbers are drivers who are less than half a second from the car, either ahead of them or behind them. Blue numbers mean they're a half second to a second apart. So that just gives you an idea of how much orange and blue you're seeing in that tower, how close the racing is from top to bottom here.
John Voigt and Irwin now on the nose of John Voigt, who almost gave a little kiss to the 0-2 of Matthew Irwin. That was as close it could possibly get. I've never seen a Porsche with a Toyota badge on the rear wing. Have you?
I have not, but maybe it's one of those Toyota lift trucks. You know, he's supporting the commercial side of Toyota. It's kind of like I used to race with a guy in one of the leagues where he used to take input on the Ford GT. He'd take input. This is before we had what was it, the last GT3 that we got with the Mustang. Before we had the Mustang, he used to take input in the Ford GT, put Mustang logos all over it and drive it around. But at least it was still Ford. But not too often you see one different brand manufacturer running a whole different brand logos on it. But hats off to Matthew Irwin, expressing his love for Toyota. He's trying to show iRacing that, you know what, even though the Lexus RCF has had its final sunrise at the end of this season, and
you bite your tongue, Rob Campbell.
The new car's coming out. He's trying to give them a little boost here. You know, go out and scan that new Toyota and get it in the system.
Pass for the lead. Wade Morris and Jeffrey Davis battle coming through turn one. A little bumping and banging between Davis and Clancy Garvin. The number 73 is going to be the leader in the category, if I'm not. Nope, he is definitely not the leader in the category. I'm mistaken. That is going to be all three in the pro category. You can tell by the black number plates, obviously.
Yeah, they're going to battle here. That's allowing Wade Morris to pull away, so they're going to want to get single file here very quickly. Sauger, it's always tough, you know, when you think you got to move on a driver ahead of you, but you know if you battle, the lead's going to let the leader pull away. It's that balancing act, you know. Do I try and sit it up here? Do I try and make that move? Or I just stay in single file here and wait for a little opportunity? Maybe we can chase back in the leader and then have a battle later on. But a race of this length, they still got plenty of time ahead of them, and it doesn't look like Clancy Garvin is really willing to sit around and wait. Neither is Joe Baptista, who's now in this battle. It looks like the two of them really want to try and get around Jeffrey Davis. At this point in time, maybe Davis is the cork in the bottle. We'll have to see if Garvin and Baptista can get by him. Maybe they can reel back in Wade Morris up ahead.
time will tell what the story will be for the Lights Out GT3 Weekend Showdown. For João Baptista right now, the hometown hero sits in 4th place. Started in 4th, running in 4th, but has his sights on something a little bit better. Jeffrey Davis, Clancy Garvin right ahead of him can definitely make something happen, especially with the very long straightaway that we have here. I know we don't really consider turn 15 part of the straightaway, and 14 we're really not going to consider it if we're going to get technical with it, but you're basically flat out from turn 14 or even turn 13 all the way in towards the braking zone of turn 1. So the slipstream is going to play a huge advantage for those drivers that are stuck in these battle packs versus drivers that are maybe out on their own by themselves perchance. So it really will say that drivers that are in these packs can catch up to those ahead that are breaking away, but they've got to decide now if they want to work together or not, right?
Yeah, it's a balancing act, Sauger. It's always interesting. You mentioned the corners, how the American tracks determine what's a corner versus the rest of the world. So on the American side of things, if it doesn't have a marshal stand, they don't consider it a corner, where the European tracks, basically every kind of little kink and bend in the track they call the corners. You see Mac Nelson getting a little swirly over the curbs there. So it's just kind of interesting how, if you look at a map for a North American track, you may look at, well, why are they not calling that a corner? We have instances like at Road Atlanta where it's 10A and B, it's clearly 2 or 3 different corners, but they only label it as one corner, as we see drivers really scattering. That's our leaders up ahead. So they're getting into lap traffic here now, Sauger. That's going to play a whole different role in this battle at the sharp end of the field.
It really did already, as João Baptista was able to make up a ton of ground through traffic. Now slots in behind Keon Maduro in 5th place, falling a little further back. Keon is up 10 positions right now, running very well for himself. I'm very impressed with how far he's charged, but further back it's going to be Clancy Garvin battling with João. Coming through the infield, the 73 is going to hold the outside, but switch back to the inside line, coming out of Junção. This is going to slingshot them into turn 13, 14, and 15. Like I said, they're nearly flat out corners, so riding on the rear wing of the car in front might be your best bet.
Yeah, we're seeing that trio that I mentioned earlier, Ross, Maduro, and Davis, that were kind of playing follow the leader here, Sauger, working together, and they've managed to catch up to that lead trio that we saw that were really, they threw caution to the wind, and they were battling and deciding not to stay status quo and just drive along, following each other. And that's allowed Ross, Maduro, and Davis to get up into this battle, where now we have a 5-6 car pack for the league. Wade Moore still leading the way, but you know what? If they can get some organization in behind them here. Oh man, there goes, speaking of Maduro, off track.
See if we get a replay to what happened to Maduro here. It just looked like he was doing it all by himself, right? Yeah, just got over the curb, unsettled the suspension when getting on throttle, and then that will do it for him.
Yeah, I don't know if they updated the curbs here at Interlagos this season, but we did a race on Thursday at Red Bull Ring, which had updated curbs, and there was drivers really having a lot of issues with them. So I'm wondering if maybe they updated the curbs here at Interlagos, because it looked like a fairly tame trip over the curbs for Maduro, but unfortunately the back end of that Mustang snapped around. But he's got a ton of speed down into 14th place, funnily enough, back to where he qualified. So he took 15 minutes to get himself up into the top 5. He's still got another 45 to see, or sort of see if he can do it again.
And I'm sure with the skill and pace that he showed us in the opening session, he can definitely claw his way back. But Speaking of those curbs at the Red Bull Ring, you're absolutely right. Those curbs are just terrible now. You used to be able to ride them and brake on them, and no more. No mas, they said. No more treading on Austria. You know, it's similar to the curbing at the Autodromo Internazionale. No, wait, no. Imola. Enzo Edino Ferrari. That Autodromo. The curbing there, you used to be able to really take them at Acqua Minerale, but no mas, no more. They said don't tread on Italy. And they painted the curves and put a gravel trap back there. I'm not kidding. That's what they did. Look it up.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I believe you, Sandra. I'll take your word for it. If not, you're going to have to buy me or ship me over a pizza direct from from Italy. So that'll be your payment. But we got a battle here between John Voight and Matthew Irwin. Irwin's still in that Porsche Yoda, but looking strong right now. Having a look, he's moved up 9 spots just inside the top 10. So nice run for him, taking advantage of some others' mistakes. Is Jamie MacArthur. I'm not sure what happened to him. He just lost a couple spots, falling back in the field here.
Jamie MacArthur having a bit of a tumble, it looks like. Now, is this one assisted, or was this all by his lonesome? The Maxim badged machine got a little bit of help from the Ford Mustang, and looked like the 93 was trying to help him back around, but just couldn't quite pull it off.
Yeah, looks like Kyle Dersham. Little, optimistic move up to the inside of MacArthur, but, on his rights, MacArthur did leave the door open a little bit, and that always, don't give somebody the opportunity to stick the nose up there if you don't want something like that to happen. But Kenneth Coping, that is a sharp-looking paint scheme on that Air Force green and badging on it. Sharp-looking car, but they are embroiled in a battle here. Mustangs everywhere in this pack, but the Porsche and the Corvette leading the way. A bit of an American muscle battle in here with the Ferrari. Who is that? Natiti Kume in the 34th place, so a lap down. Just trying to stay out of trouble here and stay out of that battle.
Rafael Rodriguez here alongside the man TJ Yankee. And there will be a side-by-side dispute that'll end with the American Mustang 313 of Yankee, unfortunately falling behind Rafael Rodriguez, another hometown favorite, rocking the hometown colors as well.
Yeah, sometimes I get them mixed up with the Aussie colors too as well. Very similar colors between those two countries, but Rafael Rodriguez mired back in 26th place, was probably hoping for a little better showing, being one of our hometown heroes. And Joe Baptista, he's been up and down the top 10 here, got himself up as far as 3rd, fall back to about 7th, but he's worked his way back to 4th. So my pick right now tonight, Sagar, not looking too bad, but you know what? He's right in the middle of that danger zone in that top 5 battle. Is Matthew Irwin going to go off wide? That's going to allow John Voight to sneak by on the inside in that Lambo.
Oh, no. Oh, no, indeed. Oh, man, but Voight able to recover like a champion. What a save indeed from the number 29. Got it spun right back around in the right direction. Probably doesn't even have any damage from that. The worst damage being to his tires, if anything. Now up 4 positions in this race for the number 29. Sitting just outside the top 10 is Voight. Maduro back in the mix, the number 88. It's up 2. And back into the mix is unbelievable after the spin he had earlier.
Yeah, we've seen Maduro across a couple leagues on Racer Nexus. Always quick, always has a ton of pace, but can try and force some moves when he isn't being, patient as probably should be. Unfortunately, his incident early on just looked like a freak incident over the curves where he lost the back end, but Natalie's having to work through the traffic the second time by here. Saga will have to keep an eye and see if his patience level is where it should be, and he doesn't try and force a mistake. But so just ahead of them, the Mercedes of Wano, sorry, trying to make a move on the inside of Irwin. So Irwin not out of the pressure zone yet. He had a little incident with Voigt. Voigt was able to catch it, but it's like, oh man, a little more contact. I'm going to say that's almost a little bit of karma there from Matthew Irwin. Lost that position basically the same way he took it away from John Voigt. Probably what John Voigt's saying to himself behind the wheel and behind that. Yeah, remember that, Matthew? That happened to me lap before by you.
Now, this sequence of drivers, I'm trying to figure out what do you call a five-peat of drivers. It's a quadtuple, centuple, maybe? Quintuple of drivers running here out of 13, 14 now through 15 onto the front stretch. Really need to decide again if they want to work together or not. It's been Irwin that's been under attack from those around, and surprisingly the Porsche has been passed throughout some of the twistier bits where you think it would be more nimble than the cars around it. Mac Nelson, Brian Lavrisa going after it and towards turn one. And that'll go Nelson's way as Joe Twum Antwi is really far up the road.
Yeah, our Pro-Am leader sitting comfortable up front, but he doesn't really have to push the envelope here. Sauger, he's got plenty of space between he and Mac Nelson now. He's moved himself into second place in class. But we get a battle for second overall. Carl Ross really putting a ton of pressure on the back of Kyle Smith. He's trying to make a couple moves the last couple corners. Hasn't been able to complete the move in that Corvette with the Mercedes looking strong up front. But you know what? Carl Ross looks like he's highly motivated here to try and take second place away from Kyle Smith. Kyle Smith trying to make that Mercedes as wide as he can, but I think it's only a matter of time here with Ross finding a way around Kyle Smith. Could be here into turn one.
My goodness, I saw someone come down pit road. I thought that was a mistake, but no, we're already at the halfway point of this event. So the pit window very much alive and available, and that might be Lavrisa. No, Lavrisa tumbling down the order.
Oh, it's Darden, and he just spun on pit exit.
And that's why Lavrisa was going slow, because he wanted to make sure he could come down through pit lane, as I was just saying. Pit lane alive and well now. As the window opens up, you can definitely get an undercut to work out on the rest of the field. As we go over to Oliver Brooks and Mac Nelson's. No, this is actually Jamie MacArthur, excuse me. Jamie MacArthur running in P14 in the category. And right behind Oliver Brooks, and should remain undisturbed for their run. Last laps around, we're looking like 132.5, 132 or 133 from Oliver Brooks that last time around. Very slow. Oh, that explains why Jamie MacArthur was able to catch up, but he's dragging on a whole pack of cars with him.
Yeah, MacArthur's going to want to try and get around Brooks as quick as he can. As you mentioned, a little slower lap last time by for Brooks, but you know, they got Mac Nelson not too far ahead of them as Brooks had to gather the car back up onto the curbs, get a little loose. So that's going to give MacArthur a nice run here down the front straight. Should be clean and clear heading into turn one. I suspect Brooks will probably just back out of it, not wanting to have to challenge MacArthur on the inside, recognize it's a little slower the last lap. Best thing to do right now is to tuck in behind MacArthur, see if you can find that pace that he's extracted. And Kenneth Coping really closed up on the back of that duo too as well into turn one with the Corvette. So it looks like he's real strong under braking. And as you mentioned, those Porsches usually excel in the twisty stuff in the braking, where it doesn't seem like they're working all that well tonight. We go three wide. Maduro and Voigt battling it out. That's going to put Maduro on the outside for the next corner. Voigt, we've seen already been involved in a couple incidents here tonight. Sauger, we know he's not against getting those elbows out, defending his position. Zero going to tuck in behind, but Dersham out of nowhere up the inside. Voigt again gets tapped in the same corner. He got spun around earlier. He is not going to be a happy camper tonight, Sauger.
No, he is definitely not. I'm sure he's going to have
he's around again.
some words with the stewards tonight. And now Cotterman goes through, and that will be P12 in the category for Cotterman, who's on a steep recovery drive tonight, was basically running at the back of the pack after falling worse for wear coming through turn 1. And now is running in P12, 13th overall, only has Joe Torm Antwi up ahead outside of the category, and it looks like a trip down pit lane for some. Kyle Dersham is going to make his trip, but it looks like Cotterman stays out.
Yeah, Dersham might have a little bit of damage on the front end after that incident with John Voigt, so probably wise to pop in. Pit windows open as we're just about halfway through the race here. Sauger pop in, cool those tires down a little bit, get a little splash of fuel, and maybe they can knock out that damage on the front bumper for him. As top speed is going to be of the utmost importance here. You mentioned we've got that real long straight that isn't necessarily a straight, a little bit of uphill, a little bit of downhill, but you definitely need all your aero capacity as much as you can here tonight. As we see Chet Miller sharing his cam. Chet Miller up into 23rd place. That's going to gain him actually no positions. One of the few drivers still running in their qualifying position. So, you know, it's always an accomplishment. If you can't lose places, if you can't gain places, you definitely don't want to lose them. So if you can stick where you qualified, at least you know you're showing the same pace you've had all day.
Yeah, that's one of the keys to success, is to at least not lose anything out on the racetrack. I love these driver cams. Chet Miller showing us what his equipment looks like and what gear he's got. Obviously running a 4-monitor setup, as he's got the top display with his information available to him. And it's just a great equipment setup that he's got, and you can see he's laser focused and determined to just stay locked in. P23 right now, but hopefully doing a little bit better as time goes on.
It's always interesting to see the different setups that everybody has, and you know what, there's more than one way you can skin a cat when it comes to sim racing. Some of the highest iRating drivers on iRacing, you know, still use a Logitech G27, G29, which if you ever use it, it's of the least amount of feel as far as you're going to get as far as pedals and wheels. And you know, for those guys to rake in like 10,000 iRating, 11,000 iRating using that type of equipment, just kind of shows you what kind of skilled driver they are. But you know what, Chet Miller, no wasted movements there. You don't really see any extra shaking of the wheel. Really calm, cool, and collected. So it looks like he should have a nice night tonight. But Kyle Smith, currently second place. He was feeling a bunch of pressure from Carl Ross, but he's able to open up that gap now. But in behind Carl Ross, we see Joe Baptista now lurking behind. He's got himself up into fourth place, trying to find a way to get, you know, up into a podium position. We know the Brazilian going to want to fare well. He'd love a podium position here in his home country. See the Brazilian flag on the roof of that car, so he's representing the country here well tonight.
Cole Malley letting us know in the YouTube chat that he's running on a base Logitech wheelbase as well, and he still has that killer pace. Maduro here and Cotterin running nose to tail right now. Hold on a second. Cole Malley, you're supposed to be in this race. Where are you? What are you doing, Cole? And how come you're not here with us? Let us know in the YouTube chat what's going on, Cole. Hopefully you're doing all right, but we're obviously a name that we're missing on the registration list tonight.
Brian Lavrisa and Matthew Irwin, some of these drivers basically stuck together, Sauger, since the drop of the green flag. Neither one able really to get away from the other, but Lavrisa with the Lambo, we've got Copping. See him on the inlet or on the inset there on pit road. He's going to cycle out right into this battle. See if he can get himself firmly planted. He's going to have a run up on the inside. Can he take both these drivers? Could they go 3 wide here, Sauger? No, he's going to tuck back in behind Lavrisa. That's going to allow Matthew Irwin to hold on to 21st place. But you know what, Copping coming out, he's got that fuel stop done. So theoretically, he is coming out ahead of these 2 drivers in the, correction. Irwin and Lavrisa have both into the pit. So actually these 3 cars are leaders on track of cars who have come in for their service here. The rest of the field up ahead of them still always a pit stop.
Basically the first of the drivers that have taken a pit stop so far, according to our live timing and scoring. This will be a great battle here between Irwin Lavrisa and Kenneth Copping. But Copping on slightly cooler tires has to get up to temperature before he can mix it up, or will he wait at all? As the door opens for Lavrisa, I think Kenneth Copping wants a piece of the pie himself, but it looks like the O2 is definitely not gonna be happy about this run from the number 81 from way far back. Might go for a nice switchback on both of them, but thinks better of it.
Sean Dilworth getting in there too as well. That Mustang lurking in the background. Saw him have a spin early on. He's on a recovery run here. Now right on the back of Copping, but Cole Malley has answered your question. He says he has a neck condition. Driving aggravates it, so you need to take some time off so he can perform at his best. So hopefully he gets well soon, and we see him back on track here battling the rest of the field here in the Breaking Bad GT3.
Indeed. Hopefully you get better soon, Cole, and hopefully you'll get stronger than ever. You can always get some of those steroid injections that they're giving out these days as the 888 trying to go for a move on Kenneth Copping there, but the door wasn't really open, so the move wasn't really on. But as I was joking, hopefully you get better soon, my friend, and we see you back on track very, very quickly as you heal up. Maduro, Connerman, wheel to wheel, and late on the brakes is Maduro, showcasing why he's one of the best out on track, but Connerman rolls off the pedal himself and follows through, coming through turn 4.
Classic Ford versus Chevy battle here. Sauger looks like right now Cotterman in the Corvette going to prevail over the Mustang of Maduro, but as we know, Maduro not just going to go quietly off into the night. He's going to try and find his way back around Cotterman. Maybe Cotterman can drag him up as they got Nicholas Wano up ahead of him. He's not too far up the road in that Mercedes. They're going to be catching up to him right now. Not sure what happened, but we've got some salt on voice chat, so I'm not sure what happened. Potentially, it's like Jack Clark just went off the track, so I'm not sure if he got involved in something, Sauger, but we got some unhappy drivers.
Always fun to get an earful from the drivers. Their adrenaline's at their highest, and their rage is at their fullest. I know I'm usually one to get emotional on the racetrack myself, so I know exactly what all that's about. That's why I have voice chat muted for my iRacing races.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
Yeah,
we got some. I don't know if we can go. I don't know if we can go up to the battle between Batista, Ross, and Smith, Sauger, but it's getting spicy up here for second place.
Oh my goodness, it sure is. Baptista, Smith, and Ross all glued to each other here. And now as Baptista is late on the brakes up the inside run, though, from the 0-3, able to pull that one out pretty remarkably, as these are all the drivers that haven't come down pit road yet, but still battling for the lead in this event. Wade Morris checks out 7.8 away from Kyle Smith now.
Yeah, Morris got himself out front. Hasn't looked back yet at this point in time, so looks like right now failing any catastrophe here for Morris. It looks like he has this one in his hand as these guys for second, third, and fourth, the final spots on the podium. Looks like they're going to battle it out to the death at this point in time. We might need to get them some horses here, Sauger, and a couple of jousts and see if they can do it medieval style.
Cotterman again catching up to everybody he possibly can. What amazing pace now. Gonna be Nicholas Owanu up the road to be able to contend with, and he's gonna be battling for 7th and 8th position in the class. Can he get the run on his way down towards turn 4 before the pit stop phase? I don't think so, not at turn 4 at the very least. He's gonna have to wake up a little earlier in the morning to get one over on Owanu.
Yeah, Nicholas Owanu looking very stout in that position, but Cotterman was wrapped up in that lap 1 incident where we saw about 5 or 6 cars get wrapped up just at the tail end of the top 10. So we know he has the pace. He qualified up towards front as Marshall Darden has now been disqualified. I'm not sure if that was maybe something to do with the chat we had going on, or if he hit incident point limits there, but he is now out of this race. But Jed Cotterman, he's only up the 3 spots where he qualified, so nice recovery run for him. Was at some point in time all the way back into just outside of the top 30 here, Sauger. So using his skill and speed here to get himself back up into a top 10 position, but he still owes us a pit stop, so he's going to lose a number of positions right now as our top driver who has pit is now our Pro-Am leader, Joe Atum Antwi, in 12th place.
It will be a trip down pit road for the duo on screen. Cotterman, Owanu, actually a whole fleet of cars decided to come down pit road. And that will be the fleet of Clancy Garvin, Jeffrey Davis, Cotterman, Dersham, Owanu, and Nelson.
It doesn't look like anybody's taking tires here, just a little splash of fuel and back out. And it looks like Cotterman exiting out of pit road, but a very long pit lane exit here, Sauger. It may look like you may be able to pick up a spot as you're coming through pit lane. You see those cars heading through turn 1, 2, and 3, but then you start to account for the twisted nature of pit road and trying to get those tires back up to pace. But looks like Jed Cotterman going to come back out ahead of Nicholas Owanu and just in behind Jeffrey Davis.
Double drivers who pit early having very long fuel stops up in the 20-second or so range. And those that came in now are down in the 16-17 second range. Speaking of which, Wade Morris, Kyle Smith, and Carl Ross all come down pit road simultaneously. A 1, 2, 3 trio here. But now we're looking at Jeff Sanders battle with Jeffrey Davis.
Oh no! Sanders gets spun by Davis. Looks like he's going to collect it up. So that's our race sponsor this evening, Grandpa Jeff. Jeff Sanders is going to be coming into a chat after the race. But Raccoon Racing Ford Mustang going to have some hot tires there. But Jed Cotterman going to make his way around the outside. It's going to take Jeff probably about half a lap or so. Those tires back down to operating temp. So we'll see here if he can battle Cotterman into turn 1, but I think oh no, he's gonna dive into the pits. So
yeah,
Jeff looks like he was our final car actually. Sauger hasn't been included in a pit stop, so once he and Chet Miller do that, all of our field will come in for their service.
Wade Morris, Kyle Smith, Carl Ross being your 1, 2, 3 in the pro category for the Pro-Ams. Joe Atum Antwi, Mac Nelson, and Oliver Brooks. Mac Nelson and Oliver Brooks separated by just about 0.3 of a second. The 43 right now leads us 31, heading on to lap 27.
Oliver Brooks in that brightly colored Mercedes. Try and chase down the other Mercedes of Mac Nelson. So final 2 steps on the podium in Pro-Am class. up for grabs here. Brendan McCurdy well back of these two drivers. So barring these two guys taking each other out, Sauger, they should have a good hold on the podium position. Just a matter of who's going to finish ahead of who. You see Mac Nelson going way wide through that corner there. Much tighter line by Oliver Brooks, but not able to really capitalize on it. We couldn't quite get back into the throttle as quick as he wanted, and really have to sacrifice it. Oh no, Elson going off wide then again. There, that's all Brooks is going to need to look up the inside. I think he should have this one done.
He does have the run coming through 14 and down through 15 as well. I want to keep my eye on this gentleman right here, João Baptista, because he's all over the rear end of Carl Ross. And this is going to be João Baptista's 4th place, where he started this event. Carl Ross right up the road, though, and definitely within arm's reach before the end of this event. Only 16:50 remaining on the clock tonight. Predictions now, Rob. I'll let you get them out, or I'll let you change your mind, maybe.
Well, I don't think my driver Baptista is going to be able to pull off the win, but second place is still in the cards here tonight. Kyle Smith not too far up the track. I think if you can find a way around Carl Ross here, we could see Baptista reel back in Smith, but it seems like trying to find a way around Carl Ross is going to be easier said than done. That Corvette driver looking really stout tonight. It's going to be a matter of how maybe lap traffic plays into this battle. If maybe Baptista can find a way to utilize it to his advantage, and then the flip side, maybe Ross can find a way to utilize it to his advantage too as well. But they can still see Kyle Smith up ahead, so they can't afford to battle too much if they potentially want to take away that second position. As you see Baptista going way out wide through turn 4.
Definitely way out wide through turn 4, trying to carry that speed and momentum into the following sector. I mean, he's got to do something different than the car in front of Carl Ross. And that different thing is just taking different lines and trying to get back into your rhythm. How'd you catch up to him in the first place? Just running your own line. So sometimes backing out, maybe a half a second or so and finding that rhythm again isn't the worst thing in the world, or forcing a mistake might be the best thing you can do, as Carl Ross clips the curb on the inside and a little bit of grass for good measure. I don't think that's what João Baptista had in mind, as they both end up losing time.
Yeah, it looks like Carl Ross just seems to understand the track, as it's a lot of switchbacks from left to right corners. You see him place his car on the inside line. Every single corner we're seeing Baptista trying to find the long way around, which is always a disadvantage. But if he can get on the outside through one of these corners and stay door to door with Ross, inevitably it's going to switch back to he'll have the inside into the next corner. That's where Baptista really needs to capitalize if he's going to find a way around Ross. Otherwise, Ross is putting his car exactly where he needs to try and hold on to that spot. But while they continue to battle, that's allowing Kyle Smith to pull away.
Kyle Smith definitely checking out of the conversation right now. And speaking of checking out, so is Oliver Brooks in his battle with Mac Nelson. The gap opens up to 1.4 seconds. Jeffrey Davis comes down pit road, and he's on his way out, excuse me. That'll be P7 for Jeffrey Davis.
He's going to come out right in behind the McLaren of our Pro-Am leader, Joe Atum Antwi. Actually looks like he's going to get to the inside. Antwi realizes he doesn't have anything to really battle for, just going to give up that position. He's surrounded by pro drivers, but isn't going to gain anything by battling with these guys. You don't want to get involved in a wreck when you're leading the class and having the race end for you. But you know what? Oliver Brooks, Mac Nelson, as you mentioned, that battle for second place in Pro-Am kind of down by the wayside. I think I heard on the radio Mac Nelson said he had a little Code Brown moment, so Oliver Brooks took advantage of that. But you know what? Mac Nelson's still our highest mover in the race, up 19 spots. Oliver Brooks gained 12 spots too as well. So both those drivers, very accomplished runs here tonight in the Pro-Am class.
Big packs of drivers. Owen Huffington makes a trip down pit lane. Brennan McCurdy here. And a mix with Matthew Irwin in front and John Voight behind, just outside of their class, though. Oliver Brooks still escaping and pulling on Mac Nelson, running very well. Chet Miller in 5th. Nicholas Palm, Brian Lavrisa. What happened to Lavrisa? As he's down in 27th position. Down 5 positions on the good.
Yeah, it looks like he had to come back in for a second stop. I'm not sure if it was, if he didn't quite get enough fuel. He had 5-second stop on lap 23.
Yeah.
It's the second time in through the pits, so I'm not sure if that was maybe a damage repair or just need a little extra splash of fuel here tonight, Sagar. But yeah, he was a driver that was in around a lot of the action, and you know, we saw him get wrapped up in a couple incidents, but you know what? He's probably not going to have happy thoughts leaving Brazil here tonight.
Definitely not. Unfortunate for him, but the night going better for others as João Baptista has worked his way past Carl Ross, has Kyle Smith in front, and Wade Morris to contend with. Let's go ahead and take a look at that move for P3. Here's how João Baptista was able to get this one done. Makes a look to the inside line and crosses back right over the racing line. What an excellent crossover.
Yeah, look, he took advantage. It looks like Ross got a little squirrely there, the back end of that Corvette, and João Baptista didn't need to be asked twice to take that position away, but Roberto Perez here and Jeffrey Davis, they are battling it out. Porsche versus Mustang as they head down the backstretch into turn 4. This is where the Mustang should have the legs over that Porsche, but you know what? Not really getting ahead. A little bit of contact into turn 4, Soccer, but they're both going to keep going. Mustang going to fall to the side. Perez going to hold into that spot. Jeffrey Davis going to have to try and find another way around. But Nicholas Iwano not too far back, lurking in the background here, watching what's going on up ahead, ready to pounce if things come to blows between these two drivers.
And it's looking like it might boil over soon because they're getting their elbows out and definitely trading paint here as the Reaper Racing number 33 is in a fade to exchange paint with another black livery, the number 70 of Jeffrey Davis right behind. Now Rafael Rodriguez is a driver we got to keep our eye on, up 13 positions tonight. Holy Toledo, and might be gaining more as Dennis Crosby is just half a second up the road. Roberto Perez still behind Joe Twum Antwi, but up for the battle in the pro category. Wade Morris, Kyle Smith, João Baptista in that 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it looks like Baptista starting to reel in Smith a little bit up front, but unfortunately that battle they had with Ross allowed Smith to get over a 2-second gap. Baptista guys are down to about 1.5 seconds now, but I think the clock might be his nemesis at this point in time. Starting to run out of time. Jeffrey Davis and Roberto Perez still going at it for 8th and 9th place. Mac Nelson now has LaShawn Dilworth just up ahead of him in 14th and 15th place. That's an interclass battle, but you know what? We still got battles up and down the field. A couple drivers, you know, embroiled in real battles for position here, Sagar. And you know, we've been running about 52 minutes into this race now, and it's surprising to still see this many battles up and down the field.
And we're going to shout out LYD here, LaShawn Young Dilworth, who was given a shout out for the Breaking Bad community. Check him out at Elzon the Zim 888. Now that is a wicked looking logo and a wicked looking paint job. LaShawn Young Dilworth currently running in 14th position, started in 12th position, so 2 down on the evening, but still has plenty to fight for on the evening.
Dilworth was another one of those drivers wrapped up in that early race incident on a recovery too as well. Almost back to where he qualified in 14th place right now, qualified in 12th. So, you know what? Nice recovery by these drivers that were wrapped up in the early race incident. Sagar, that's the nice thing about if you're in a 60-minute race, gives you a lot of time to, you know, take that deep breath, you know, realize that, you know, yes, something happened on lap 1, the car's still drivable. I can slowly work my way through the field. We got a 35-car grid. There's going to be some other drivers who are going to have some bad days too as well. There'll be positions to gain. Just going to bide my time, work my way back up to where I deserve to be.
Roberto Perez, Jeffrey Davis again exchanging blows between the Porsche and the Ford Mustang. Obviously, the Porsche is going to be a little bit more nimble through this infield section, but it's going to be a sitting duck coming down the long back straightaway. The Reaper Racing Machine. Go ahead.
There's been some chatter on the radio from Jeffrey Davis here too as well, so doesn't seem to be all that happy with Roberto Perez's defensive maneuvers here in the Porsche. So we'll have to keep an eye on this battle here, see how things shape out. Might get a little spicy here as we get to the 5-minute mark to go.
Coming through the first sector through the S's, glued to Roberto Perez right now. Jeffrey Davis definitely wanting to pounce. He is weaving more than a knitting grandma right now as Roberto Perez tries to cover off the inside line. Coming down and towards turn 4, the 70 might have the better exit though on the Reaper Racing. Number 33, Roberto Perez, managing to hold on to this gap, but Clancy Garvin in his battle with Carl Ross and for P3 overall is still undecided. Here's Roberto Perez and Jeffrey Davis.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to Joe Baptista. He's fallen down to 5th place. It looks like he had a either an off-track excursion or a wreck. Sagar, so he was up into 3rd place trying to chase down Kyle Smith, but you know what could have been a good day for the Brazilian. Definitely, you know, top 5, nothing to sneeze at, but he was looking at a potential 2nd step on the podium finish as Clancy Garvin now has made his way past Carl Rossi himself into that final podium position.
Final 5 here tonight, folks. Let's take a quick replay at what happened to Zhao. And his moment was a self-inflicted, and it looks like he was just carrying a ton of speed and slides out, just losing the 2. He's going to be pretty pleased. That's all that happened here, but this is an FIA Grade 1 circuit, so there is plenty of runoff road as we do have many more grades of drivers come through Interlagos.
Yeah, it's the one thing about these FIA Grade 1 tracks, generally a lot of runoff, but they have been adding a lot more street circuits lately to the Formula 1 calendar, so we're going to start seeing those filter into iRacing over the next seasons and years. And you know what? You don't have as much discriminatory move. Oh man, we had to know that was going to come to blows. Perez and Davis not going to be happy about that. He was chirping for a while on the radio. Not going to be all that happy about that move.
Not at all. But that's one for the stewards to have to deal with. Later, post-race, Wade Morris, Kyle Smith, Clancy Garvin, you're 1, 2, 3, and it's definitely not over there. Roberto Perez has Kyle Dersham all over his rear wing. 3 minutes remaining on the clock. And is the 1, 2, 3 locked in for either category? Well, I think at least for the Pro-Ams, Mac Nelson's up 18. Oliver Brooks up 13. Joe Twum-Antwi up 5.
Frank Perot looks like he had a little bit of an incident through turn 2 and 3. Keeps himself out wide enough to get involved in this battle between Dersham and Perez. Perez having to try and fend off Dersham now. Dersham we've seen as usually a ton of speed. Up and down day for him. Has been involved in a couple incidents here. He popped in, get some repairs on that front bumper earlier on, but we'll see here if he's able to find his way around Roberto Perez. They're going to have this lap plus one more here, Sauger. So getting down to the last chance for romance for these drivers.
It all comes down to this. Nearly an hour of battling, and a final lap or two. You're glued in with your opponent and have to put together the best laps of your life. Here at Interlagos, it's a very tricky track. The original layout was originally a massive 7.96 kilometer or nearly 5 mile long, featuring long sweeping corners. It was shortened then to 4.3 miles, or excuse me, 4.3 kilometers or 2.6 miles in 1990 to meet some of those safety standards that we're talking about today.
Yeah, I think there's a couple simulators. I want to say AMS2 where you can run the various old Interlagos circuits. I don't know if they have the true original one, but you can run a number of the different old ones. It's kind of fun, some of those old tracks to run the historic layouts, like Hockenheim, where it runs out into the forest for miles away and then comes back. But you know what? That's for another day as these drivers focusing on their last lap here. Wade Morris, you know what? He's been the class of the field here tonight. Sauger got himself a 10-second gap with second place Kyle Smith. Kyle Smith had to do some work to get himself up into second place. Clancy Garvin in third, just kind of inherited that spot, being a strong, steady, consistent pace, taking advantage of some mistakes by Ross and Baptista. So our top three, you know what, well-earned podium positions here this evening.
Absolutely, and we're gonna head on to the final lap of the event. That's gonna be Wade Morris leading us through with 30 to go. He led us from the word go, pretty much. Wade Morris took off like a rocket ship tonight, commanding this AMG through the toughest of tough, through the tricky infield, through the elevation changes. It didn't matter to Wade. He was still able to pull out all the stops. Kyle Smith has been fighting hard all night long. 6 positions gained for him, starting in P8. Gonna end up in P2, all things considered. Clancy Garvin in third is up 3 in 3 for the 73. I don't think we should change a darn thing about Clancy Garvin's position except for maybe minus 70 from that number plate.
He'll take the position. I don't think he cares much about the number as our leader for the final time through the final set of corners here, Sauger.
It will be Wade Morris taking the checkered flag that's waving high and proud by Barney. Wade Morris bringing it home in P1. Kyle Smith further back by 11 seconds in P2. Clancy Garvin in third. Carl Ross crossing the line is going to bring it home in fourth position with João Baptista in fifth, not too far behind. Jotam Antwi is going to bring it home in P1 for the category. Jed Cotterman with his amazing recovery drive back up into P7.
Oh, we got to run to the line here between Perez and Dersham. There they come around the corner here now. Touching. Looks like Perez going to hold him off, but Dersham gave him a run at the end.
Roberto Perez, Kyle Dersham, Keil Maduro, Nicholas Owano, LaShawn Young, Delworth, Jeffrey Davis, Oliver Brooks, Mac Nelson are going to round out the 2-3 for the Pro-Ams. Jamie MacArthur, Rafael Rodriguez, Dennis Crosby, Matthew Irwin, John Voigt, Jeff Sanders, Brendan McCurdy, Chet Miller, TJ Yankee, Ryan Lavrisa, Nicholas Paul, Frank Perot, Ryan Thompson, Owen Huffington, Jesse Chase, Dedek Kume, Jack Clark, Kenneth Coping, Marshall Darden, Javier Sierra, Corey Jones, David Bush the third. Round out the 37 drivers lining this action-packed grid tonight.
And it's been action-packed from the drop of the green flag. Couldn't really ask for much more. Battles up and down the field, battles up and down each class. Hats off to our two class winners, Wade Morris and Joe Twomantwi. They did exactly what they needed to do here tonight, Sagar, to take that win.
Absolutely. Why don't you walk us through the pro results?
Wade Morris, as we saw, took top spot. You don't get much coverage when you're out front, gapping the field by 10 seconds, but hats off to him, did what he needed to do. Kyle Smith going to come home in second, that turn 3 esports machine. Second step on the podium, Clancy Garv is going to round out our podium with Ross Baptista. Rounding out our top 5, Jed Cotterman going to recover to 6th place. Nice run for him. Perez, Dersham, Maduro, and Wano going to round out our top 10 in pro.
Amazing stuff. And man, they really brought it home in the pro category. LaShawn Young, Dilworth, Jeffrey Davis, Jay MacArthur, Rafael Rodriguez, Dennis Crosby, Matthew Irwin, John Voigt, Jeff Sanders, TJ Yankee, and Nide Kume over to the AMs for the top 10. Rob?
Yeah, we saw Joe Twomantwi taking the win. Oliver Brooks was able to outlast Mac Nelson for second spot on the podium. Nelson's going to come home on the final step. McCurdy and Chet Miller looking outside in, but they finish in the top 5. Lavrisa, Paul, Perot, Thompson, and Huffington going to round out the top 10 with Jesse Chase and Marshall Darden. Darden, unfortunately, DQ'd early on. The Cachao racing car. Not going to have fond memories of Jose Carlos Pache here in Brazil.
Unfortunate for him. But now I think we're ready to talk to one of our drivers tonight. Mac Nelson is standing outside the Racer's Nexus broadcast booth. Should we keep him outside waiting in the warm weather?
Yeah, he's warm out there. Looks like we got our race winner in the interview room. Let's bring him in there first, Sagar.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and talk to our overall race winner. That's going to be Wade Morris. Wade, you started in second, but you drove it home into P1. Talk to us about how you did it. Was it all about your pace tonight?
I think mainly it was about my consistency, and also but I want to give credit to Jeffrey and Clancy. They made me a lot faster this weekend. Just a shame that they crashed each other out. I'm not sure what happened there. They're breathing down my neck for the first couple laps, but yeah, I ended up getting done because of consistency.
Consistency being the key to your success tonight. Definitely drove it home. Best lap was a 1:31.62. Talk to us about some of your race preparation and what it takes to get as consistent as you were tonight.
I would say hundreds of laps, and really just pushing the pace, pushing myself, doing this when I don't necessarily want to do it at 1 a.m. and everything like that. But yeah, just constant work, and yeah.
Right on. Wade, thank you very much for joining us in the Racers Nexus broadcast booth. Anybody you want to shout out or anybody you want to thank on the victory tonight?
I want to shout out my team WMD Racing and my boy Dan Carpenter. He's making a new app called Watch Me Pro. It's gonna help you stream and do all that for your sim racing and everything like that. So yeah, that's what I want to shout out.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Wade, for joining us in the Racers Nexus broadcast booth. Have a great night, and as always, make sure you stay safe out there.
All right, you too.
And we don't have Kyle Smith outside from the looks of it. It looks like we don't have Clancy Garvin either. Joe Tom Antwi, Oliver Brooks, Mac Nelson. Let's grab Mac Nelson's arm. Rob, why don't you talk to Mac Nelson for a second?
Well, shameless plug here, Mac Nelson. Normally you're in the booth here, but you decided to go behind the wheel weekly here in the Breaking Bad series. You had a nice battle with Oliver Brooks for the majority of the race for second spot in class, but able to bring home third step on the podium there. Oliver Brooks failed out last year, but overall, how'd your race go? I heard there was a Code Brown moment in there somewhere.
Yeah, man. Coming down turn 1 and 2, it got a little hairy. I was on the throttle. I was in third instead of in fourth. The wheels got a little spinny. Yeah, it almost was a Code Brown moment, and that was actually the moment Oliver passed me, and unfortunately I couldn't get by him for the rest of the race. But I managed to stay on 4 wheels, so that was not too bad. But yeah, man, Interlagos, I hate this track. I'll be completely honest with you. I cannot stand this track. If I hadn't missed the first 3 weeks, I would have probably skipped tonight, but I'll be honest, man. I needed the points. I like racing with these guys. These guys are amazing.
Now, we just had Oliver Brooks hop into the YouTube chat. He says Mac is a drifter now, so he must be commenting about that incident you had. But it looks like the Mercedes were strong here tonight. We saw a number of them up towards the sharp end of the field. What do you think it was that made them a little better than the rest of the cars in the field here tonight?
I think it's, I don't know, Rob. I'll be honest. I think it's where the fuel sits in the car. I mean, when I was getting light on fuel there, heading towards the pit stop, I noticed the car wanted to lean towards the front a little bit. It was like my brake pressure was a little too strong in the front, but once I got filled up with a lot of gas, I mean, it just seemed like the car wanted to turn so much better. And I have no idea if that was just placebo or if that's, actually how it was actually panning out with the weight. But yeah, there were some turns where I felt like I was driving a boat. I felt like I was playing Sea of Thieves, not iRacing. And there were some corners where it felt like I was in the F1 movie. So I don't know. That's just the randomness of Interlagos, man. I'm telling you, this track is not for me. I'm very surprised I walked away with the finish that I did.
Yeah, it's one of those love it or hate it tracks, it seems to be. But congrats on the final step on the podium in Pro-Am class. But before we let you go, any shout outs to the millions and millions watching at home?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Sim Magic, man. This Alpha Evo 12, the GT Neo wheel, love it. Shout out Husinkveld, sprint pedals, amazing. Shout out Scepter, 32-inch monitors. Come on, man. 3 of them? It doesn't get any better than that. Obviously, big shout out to you guys, Rob, Sager, obviously the homies, the co-workers. So, I mean, I know you guys put on one heck of a show, and I can't wait to watch it back here in, the X amount of minutes that I do. Big shout out to Jed for getting me involved here. I mean, he was peppering me in the DMs week 1, week 2, week 3. He's like, "Where are you at, man?" And I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry. Life has happened, but we're here now. We got the podium, and big shout out to the drivers on track. They always race me clean. A little bit of drama on the radio tonight. I really don't like to hear that, considering, I'm locked in trying to do my thing. But for the most part, all the guys that were around me, Oliver, there was a Pro-Am Lambo at the beginning that I was having an amazing battle with. Big shout out to him. That was probably some of the best racing I've ever had here at Interlagos. So, yeah, big shout out to everybody, man.
Excellent stuff. Well, take care and best of luck through the rest of the season.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, gentlemen.
And last but not least, we are going to have our special interview tonight. And this is going to be with, I believe they're called Grandma and Grandpa Sanders. So let's go ahead and let them into the booth here at Racers Nexus. It's going to be Jeff and Yvonne Sanders for Grandpa Jeff and Yvonne Sanders. Now, tell us a little bit about your organization and what it is you like to do.
Well, we're not really an organization. I'm a sim racer and I'm retired. My wife still gets to go to work. We just decided we were going to sponsor a race. So here we are.
That sounds like a great reason to sponsor a race. Now, tell me a little bit about the logo. I guess that's what gave me the impression that you guys were a brand or an organization.
No, Raccoon Sim Racing is an endurance team that we run most all of the endurances, plus the majors, and had several podiums and 2 wins in our split. I'm by far the lowest guy on the team. Most of the guys are 2.5, 3K and above. But I do much better in endurances than I do these short ones. Today wouldn't show it though.
Well, I completely understand how you feel. Some days are better than others. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. Now, is there anybody you wanted to shout out or anybody you wanted to thank here tonight?
My wife, who is in here, she supports my sim racing 100%. And without her backing and support, I couldn't do this. So thank you, babe.
You're welcome. I just want you to enjoy life and have fun and live that dream.
Now, that's the best thing you can possibly ask for. Now, Yvonne, how do you go about supporting Jeff do what he loves? Is it the little things that add up, or is it just being supportive in general?
I think it's the little things. Actually, both. I support him, cheer him on, sometimes get on broadcast, talk him down, try to get him to relax. I just want him to enjoy life and have fun. He's retired, so this is what he lives for.
That's amazing. Now, are you a racing fanatic as well, just like as much as the rest of us? So you're getting involved with the setup details and getting to know the tracks week after week?
I'm not as big into the tracks, but yes, I come from a family of racers myself, and I am a sports chick. So any kind of sport and the need for speed.
Right on, Yvonne. Anybody that you'd like to shout out or thank on the evening tonight?
Well, I want to thank Jeff for including me in this, and the raccoons that keep Jeff enjoying it.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. Any final words before we close out the evening with you both?
I want to thank Jed for putting this on and all the crap that he's got to put up with. He's a stronger man than I am. Thanks, Jed.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Yvonne and Jeff Sanders. Have a great night, and as always, make sure you stay safe out there.
You too. Thank you.
Now, Rob, now that all of our interviews are concluded, any final thoughts on the evening tonight?
No, I think it was a great race. I think from top to bottom here tonight, Sagar. But just taking a look through the results here, and I think we got a couple drivers that were misclassed. So I'm gonna have to go through and get that sorted out for next week. It looks like Owano was potentially in the wrong class, and a couple of drivers that were in the pro that shouldn't have been there should have been in the pro-am. So we'll get that taken care of. But otherwise, you know what? It was we saw battles between interclass drivers. We saw battles up and down the field, whether it was for second, third, and fourth place, 15th place, 27th place, didn't matter where the drivers were. They were battling each other on track. And, for the most part, it was fairly courteous driving. We saw a couple incidents here or there, but what 60-minute race isn't going to have its little bit of disagreements here and there.
No, it's not. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you very much for staying tuned. It's been a pleasure to take you from green to checkered flag. I've been your host, Sagar Bakshi. Joining me in the broadcast booth on behalf of Racers Nexus has been Rob Campbell. All good things have to come to an end, and so shall this, unfortunately. It's been Breaking Bad Pushing Limits GT3 League. And if you're interested in getting involved, make sure you check out Breaking Bad. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Get notifications for when the Racers Nexus go live next. And stay tuned for more racing action. Have a great night, everybody, and as always, make sure you stay safe out there. Goodbye for now.